correct? You finally deployed with the 746.
Yes, I went over with the 46.
And where did the 746 go?
Yeah, I was in first Fort Belvoir, drafted here. My home was Beacon, by the way.
Okay.
School. And I was drafted to Camp Upton out in Long Island. That was a reception center. Down to Belvoir for 4 months. That's outside of Washington, Virginia.
Yes.
You're probably familiar.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And from there to Camp Claiborne. And it was called Engineer Unit Training Center, EUTC, at Camp Claiborne. And the GIs built the railroad from Claiborne to Camp Polk, called the C&P Railroad. It runs through the swamps.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for the original 711th. They were a training battalion. And they had shop people and all. Well, I don't know what year, but I think before we arrived there, in early '42, they shipped them to Iran. And the 730th was a Pennsylvania outfit. And they trained in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they shipped them to Iran. And they were taking munitions. You know, Germans were sinking the ships up toward Murmansk. They'd take it through the Persian Gulf and then up to Iran. And some of the fellows that I worked with on the railroad were in that 711. And they said they could only keep you down near the port about 2 weeks because it was so hot. Then they'd have to ship you up north, rotate you up to Tehran or someplace. Then eventually you'd go back down.
Wow.
See? And, but anyway, from Camp Claiborne, that's where the 719th and the 715th, when you get a look at that list, they were activated there. And I was in it when they were activated, before it was even a battalion. And again, it was so overstrength. And then when we got to Camp Shelby, I could see, you know, to get promoted, to go up, because I wasn't an ICC man, I was the New York Central man. So, oh, that was terrific, the hometown boys. Yeah. Well, anyway, I asked, I said, they're forming a cadre. And I thought we were going to get shipped, because everybody was talking about Fort Snelling, Minnesota. That was good duty.
I read about that.
Fort Snelling, you know. Nice people, get out of that south. Well, anyway, I stayed, they said to me, all right, you stay behind. So within, as I say, within a year, I was a staff sergeant because nobody had the training. Although I only had a few minutes railroad experience. But going to class or hearing this over and over again, hell, I knew more than some of those fellows had 30 years. Because I heard Shi and I heard the rules every day, frequently, and the air car, and going out on the Southern Railroad. And they had some old conductors, and they expanded so fast that they had engineers with a 1.5 year experience on the railroad.
Wow.
That's, you know, because they were hauling all that oil. And later on, they all got deferments because they were desperately needed to bring that oil up. Well, from that, of course, I was at the railway school. I found a home because we were really, those fellows, that was a clique. Everybody looked out for the other fellow. You didn't have any drunks. You didn't have anybody going over the hill. You know, it was really a nice outfit. So then when Major Beach gets a battalion, they formed the IC, formed the 743rd. He was an IC trainmaster. So he got to be a lieutenant colonel. So naturally, he takes the cadre. And we go down to New Orleans, Camp Pluchet, and they fill us out, you know, the number of men.
You go ahead. Turn it. You get the sound.
We're being really careful with it.
We're gonna have to justify it this way.
Okay.
Top. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, it slipped a little bit.
Yep. That's lined up. I think it's going to double check, or here. Why don't you lift it up, check. You lined up?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well, anyway, he has a all-experienced cadre, so he took us all down to New Orleans, Camp Pluchet, or Camp Harahan. It's located at Harahan, and they filled us out with recruits. And basic training in New Orleans, technical training up in Robinson, Arkansas. Joseph T. Robinson, Little Rock, Arkansas, working on the Rock Island Railroad between West Memphis and Paris, Arkansas, way over Boonville, Arkansas, way over in western Arkansas. And then they decided they're going to form, of course, due to cadre, you have friends. And we heard a rumor that they were going to start another battalion and they were going to train in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Well, hell, that's my home, you know, New York.
Close enough, right?
So I put in for it. I put in for the transfer. And of course, the guy that's under you, like some fellow was a sergeant, he's glad to see me go because he's going up. So, sure enough, I'm on the shipping. I've got the orders right here, someplace, to go back to New Orleans. I think it was April 4th or something, but the order is here. Well, anyway, we formed the 746th, and we were there in May and June. Came up to Harrisburg. My God, it was like God's country, you know, after being in the South.
Sure.
Because the South was overrun by a lot of smart alecks that came down. You know, they antagonized all the people, the local. And Harrisburg, if you went outside the gate, gonna go to town, civilian come up with a car, they'd pick you up and take you down. Or take fellas home for Sunday for lunch.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they came out. Do you have them?
The
Oh,
scans?
this doesn't print today?
No, this just scans.
Do you want to, I was going to say, do you want to, Tom? Do you think turning it, then get the middle?
I think this will get the middle.
Okay. I just went without messing the thing up. Okay. You're gonna, do you want to justify it so that they're all the same way, so that when you go to mag them together, they're not?
I don't think it matters.
Does when I do it. I don't know if you have a different program. Go ahead.
Well, Holly will do it.
Oh, okay. Then your wife will do it. Okay.
Yeah.
What does this do? Print it on and put it on the computer?
It scans it onto the computer.
Oh, when you get through, can you see a copy there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good.
So you ended up in Harrisburg, huh?
Yeah, and then
That's near us.
we were in Harrisburg, you know, and I could come home almost every other weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I was very thankful. And the people were wonderful. And many of the fellows married Harrisburg girls because at that time, they were all working at the state capitol.
Sure.
And down at Steelton, they had these women working in the steel mills,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Pennsylvania had blue law. Sunday, no alcohol.
Right.
So if you went down to Steelton, you could join one of these clubs for 10 cents for that day. You know, it was just to make it legal.
Yeah.
And you could get beer and dance the polka. Oh my God, your uniform would be soaking. Yeah. No, we had a good time in Harrisburg.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I met a couple of, one I don't know, I almost married, I would think. But I'm very pleased, we're married 60, we'll be 60 years.
Very good.
She has Alzheimer's now. She was a VA nurse, and we met out in Tucson. See, when I was working on the railroad, I had a lot of seniority. I'm 1941, and they hired nobody from 29 to 40. It was a depression. So in the spring of the year, they'd get a lot of men laid off who had families. And somebody told me about it. Why don't you take a month off? So I took a leave of absence, and I went